When creating collision and LODs, I like to start in a fresh scene. You don't have to, but this is just going to be easier for you to follow along with. I will drag in my low poly mace, and there it is. And first of all, we need to make sure our scale is correct. And the best way to do that for UE4 is to drag in the sk_mannequin. And you should still have that from a previous project, but if you don't, I've provided a link in the description, and you can go ahead and download that there. So I'll drag that in now. And give it a moment, and you'll see that it is way bigger than our mace. So we need to bring our mace up to this scale. But if you click around, like this will kind of get in your way. An easy way, I guess, to get that out of the way is to click the mannequin, add it to a layer, and restrict it. That way it can't ever get in your way. So let's grab our mace. Let's, first of all, move our gizmo down to the handle. So press D, drag it down, get a decent look at it, put it about in the middle. Then press W to lock it there. And then with this middle square highlighted yellow, just hold down X, then hold down middle mouse button, snap it around, and snap it right to center. Then freeze transformations, because we want to keep it here as 0. We're going to scale it up and bring it up to its hand, and then when we're done, we're just going to snap it back down to keep the scale. But for now, freeze transforms. For me, I have a hotkey or a shortcut there, but it is modify freeze transformations for you. So select the mace, bring it up to the hand, start scaling it up, rotate it around. It's maybe a little bit too small. And it's square, so that doesn't look too comfortable, but that'll be fine. I like that size. Yours is probably a different scale, so you might be around here, but that's fine. We need to keep our scale. We need everything else to stay 0. So click here, then shift click down to here, keeping our scale unselected, then tap 0, enter. It'll jump down there, and then we'll retain our scale. And then click off just to get that unhighlighted, click back on, and then freeze transforms again. And now we're locked to this scale. Everything is 0'd and 1. And we no longer need our mannequin, so we can hide it by pressing this little V for visibility. And now let's add a material to our mace so we can see the texture and how it's going to distort when we start making this level of detail. Because to make a level of detail, we're going to actually remove topology. And when we start removing topology, if we're removing parts of the UV shells, the texture will distort, but we can control that in some ways that it won't look too bad. So with your mace selected, right click, hold down, and go to add favorite material or assign favorite material, Lambert. And then you want to go to Lambert 2 and click that, and then you should see this color and then a slider and then this little checker pattern. Click the checker pattern. And then this should come up. Click File. And then this should change to this screen right here. If it's not, I think you can click these buttons here and it'll jump around, and you can click your tab again, Lambert 2. But then we want this little square with an arrow. Click that, and then click your folder, and then find your textures. I've got my path already selected from another window, so I'll highlight this, paste that in, hit enter, and then we want the base color. So click the base color and open. And then you probably don't see anything changing. That's because we have to turn textures on in the viewport. So come up here, you should see a circle with some pattern on it, or a checker pattern. Just click that, and then you should see our textures. And at this point, I'm going to save, so you should too. And I'm going to name this Mace 1, actually Mace 0. You can name it whatever you want. That'll be a little bit more important later, but you can name it whatever you want for now. Then I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to hide Mace 0, and Mace 1 will be our first level of detail. Well, technically Mace 0 will be LOD 0, and then this will be LOD 1. So to make a LOD, we want to consider how far away is the camera going to be, and when do we really need detail to remain. So I'm going to turn on anti-aliasing. So from this far away, we don't really need that bevel going down the middle that we made, because you can't even really tell that this is going on from that far away. Also, these ridges you probably can't see from this far away. So whenever the camera is this far away from the mace, or the mace takes up this much screen, we'll have a version of the mace without that bevel and without these little ridges here. And to do that, we have to actually delete them. And the easiest way to do that, well, not the easiest way, but the best way to keep the texture together, I suppose, would be to take these verts here, select both of them, shift, right click radial menu, merge vertices, merge center, and we'll just do that all the way around every one of these ridges and through the bevel. Yep, it's a lot of clicking, but to make a LOD, that's what you got to do. So I'm going to do this, and I will speed this part of the video up, and I will see you when I'm done. Hey, future me here, don't listen to past me. That guy's an idiot. So sometimes doing this is perfectly acceptable. Sometimes it's required, depending on the complexity of your mesh. But there's a super easier way to do this. Just in vertex mode, grab with the marquee all these pieces. Make sure you got them all. And shift, right click, merge vertices this one. And then you'll get a distance threshold. For me, it's like 0.5. And they're all merged. And the UVs hold up just fine. And up here, same dealio. Marquee select, make sure you get pretty much all these. Press G, 0.5 for me, it might be a little bit different for you, and that bevel goes away. So yeah, that would have been so much more clicking, and I hope you didn't do that. Same up here. G, 0.5. That's probably too much, 0.3. There we go. Okay, cool. So that saved a ton of time. Sorry about that. So delete history and save. And you're only required to make 2 LODs, so LOD 0 and LOD 1. I'm going to do a third one just to show you that, it can happen. You can make infinite LODs until the computer runs out of memory, but it's not really necessary. For my third one, I'm just going to remove every other one of these edges here. Or maybe I'm going to keep these ones, so... Nope, that ain't going to work. We'll have to do it this way. I'm just seeing if the math works out on this, because if we can't LOD it down logically. Yeah, that'll work. So I'll speed that up. I'm going to keep each one of these inside pieces that define, where the curve starts, but then I'll merge these two and keep the middle one together. And because of how far away this one's going to be, we might not even need these middle verts here. So what I'm saying is I would grab the ones in the middle and snap them off to the side like this. And I'll do that all the way down. Alright, final LOD is done, and now, well, delete history and save, because that was quite a bit of work. Now let's make the colliders. So when doing colliders, there's documentation for this. Let me pull this up for you. Static Mesh Pipeline, Unreal Engine 4 Static Mesh Pipeline. Scroll up. Just search FBX Static Mesh Pipeline. I'll also put a link to this in the description. UE4 has a very good set of documentation showing the hows and whys of building LODs, colliders, and their naming conventions. Naming conventions are super important. They won't work if you don't do this. I'll show you how to do that correctly, but that's what we're going to do right now. When considering colliders, it's best to think of your mesh in chunks and what parts are going to move. None of this is going to move, so what we'll probably end up doing is make a pipe or even just a quad that goes up, not a quad, a cube, and then maybe something that encapsulates this, maybe another cube, that just stretches above it. So to show you what I mean, we'll make a cube. I just clicked the cube button right there. I'm going to expand it a little bit. This doesn't have to look pretty. This is never going to be seen in Engine. This is just for the physics. Grab the verts, grab them, pull them down. Probably to about here. And then I'm going to go into face mode, grab this face, shift, right click, go to the menu and duplicate face, then click off, make sure I'm in object mode, and then try to click this face right here. Good. Then I'm going to extrude up. I'll pull it up to about here. I'm trying to scale it, but if you notice the gizmo is in there, it's still down there, so center pivot. That is in modify center pivot here. So now I can actually scale it out. I'm just pulling it out, and then I'm probably just going to do this. I'll grab this face, snap there with vertex snap. To do that into face mode, click face, Alt, nope, it's V, and then just drag out. Or you can V and middle mouse button click right there. So V down, middle mouse button, and hover over the verts you want to snap to. And one thing about colliders is there has to be a little bit of a gap between each one. So if you remember, I duplicated this face here. It is exactly coplanar with the collider that's going to be down here. We don't want that, so I'm going to grab this face and pull it up just a bit so that there's a little bit of a gap. And then we want this to be more in line with the actual shape of the mace. Like this would be okay, but let's make it a little bit better. So I'm going to grab the Insert Edge Loop tool, double click, make sure it's on 1, and these are the settings. Click there, click there. Gonna grab these edges all the way around the top and pull it down. And you'll notice how these quads are triangulating. We don't want that, so easy way to do that is to go to vertex mode, grab this vert, shift, right click radial menu, go down to connect components. It'll make an edge between those. So I'm going to do that for all of these. I'm just tapping G to redo the last command. And to clean this up, hang on, I want to see if we can probably pull this up a bit more sensibly. Oh yeah. We'll do that here-ish. Yeah. Then go back into object mode, then verts for this. Snap them up, V middle mouse button, and then pull it down just a bit. So this isn't super important, like this isn't a ton of tries, but to just be efficient, I'm going to go to edge mode, shift, right click, merge, collapse, target weld tool, and I'll just drag these over like this. Okay, so these are our two colliders. Delete history. And the colliders have to have the same name as our Mace 0, Mace 1, and Mace 2 with a prefix and a suffix. So the prefix has to be, if I can pull this back over, let's find it. This is the naming convention. It's UCX underscore your mesh name and then a number for it. So ours would be UCX underscore, or mine specifically would be UCX underscore Mace 0 underscore 0. And then the other collider would be UCX underscore Mace 0 underscore 1. And then for Mace 1, we just replace Mace 1 there and Mace 2 there. So I'm going to duplicate and set up the naming conventions, and I'll show you that at the end of it. But before that, select these and do Shift P to jump them out of their group right there, because we don't need them in that group anymore. The mannequin is also hidden, it's out of the way. Okay. Alright, so I have Mace 0 with UCX underscore Mace 0 underscore 0 and UCX underscore Mace 0 underscore 1 parented to Mace 0. So if you don't know how to parent yet, I'll create a cube, and then I will duplicate that cube 2 times, And then I want p cube 2 and p cube 3 to be parented to p cube 1. I'll just select p cube 2 and then shift click p cube 3, or I can also control click, and then with middle mouse button I'll push down on these highlighted ones, drag it to p cube 1 and release. Now when you open it, they're parented. If you want to move them out, you can just select them, middle mouse button, move them up, or well, that'll jump them to that. I didn't want to do that. Just pull them out. Or with those highlighted, that's not working. You can just shift P and that'll pull them out. But we don't need those. So let's set up our actual LOD group now. We have Mace 0, Mace 1, Mace 2 with their colliders. We're going to click Mace 0, control click Mace 1, and Mace 2. It's very important you do it in that order. And then edit, level of detail, LOD, create LOD group. And we'll jump it into a whole new group with LODs. And let's name this. It's not so important what you name this, but I'm just going to call it Mace underscore LODs. And now, I think if you watch our try count, it'll actually update here. Or nope, that's just what's in the scene, but you'll see it jumping here. We're at LOD 0 right now. It'll jump to LOD 1 and LOD 2 the further you get away with the camera. And that will transfer into Unreal Engine. So we're ready to export. Let me make sure everything is... I'm actually just going to open up everything. Make sure all the handles are in the center. Tap D. Nope, see, we've got some up there. So hold down X, middle mouse button, and snap them all to the middle. Make sure they're in the middle. That looks like it. It's getting hard to pull in. Okay, good. So they're all where they should be. And now we're ready to export. Just click Mace LODs, just the top of the LOD group. You don't have to click any of this stuff down here. And export, I have a shortcut here, but you can go to File, Export Selection. And I'm going to export it here. I'm going to call it SM_Mace, SM for static mesh. This isn't super important, but in a lot of workflows you're going to have a naming convention, and SM is the prefix for static mesh. I'm going to hit enter. I already have one. Oh, and these, you should only really need smoothing groups at this point. It's already triangulated. If there's animations and other stuff, that depends on your pipeline, but for us, just that's fine. I'm going to replace that. And now it's time to bring it into Unreal Engine 4. You can go to unrealengine.com or search it online and it should pop up. And you just want to grab download. And when you download, you should be greeted to something like this. I think the default page. Let it load. It's kind of like Steam. It likes to take a moment. Something like this. It'll probably want to install Fortnite automatically. You'll have to go to your downloads and stop that. They might have changed that. It used to be that it would just automatically install. It's a real pain in the butt. But you want to go to Unreal Engine once it's loaded. And by default, I forget what it looks like, but I think you just click this little plus button here and grab the latest version of the engine. It'll take a bit to download, and then you can launch here, or you can launch your specific engine versions right here. I only have one. So just click that and launch. Click a new project. Let's do first person, just for a little bit of fun. Doesn't matter where you put this, just put it somewhere, wherever you're saving all your stuff, and create project. And then give that a little moment to load. And you should have been in here before. It's pretty simple controls to look through the editor. It is right click to turn your camera, left click to scoot around, pan. Is this pan? It's like trucking and panning. But there's also, with right click held down in WASD, like first person shooter controllers, you can just fly around like this. If you want to play the level, you can click play. Then you can run around, shoot. It's kind of loud, so noise warning. And then when you're done in here, just press escape, and you'll pop right back out. This is the content browser. I like to have these folders open on the side right here. And then with the content highlighted, I'm going to make a new folder. So just click that, and then right click, new folder. I'm going to call this Mace, and then double click in here. Then a new folder underneath that. I'll name this Geometry, if I can spell, or I'll just say Geo because, and then another folder with Material. So in the Geo folder, which is right here now, we're going to drag and drop the low poly we just did, the SM_Mace. and you'll be greeted with this window. There's some things we need to change in here by default. Skeletal mesh, we don't want auto-generate collision because we've built our own. Convert scene and convert scene unit. This is going to make sure that whatever we bring in is going to be converted to the scene unit here. It should be fine because we already did that with the mannequin, but just in case, turn that on. Don't need that. There was one more thing. There should be something for collision. It should be fine by default, but I just want to make sure. Or not collision, LODs. Import mesh LODs, yes. So underneath mesh, you want to click this little triangle right here, and then make sure import mesh LODs is turned on. And that should be okay. Let's see. Import all. No errors, that's good. It grabbed our materials. We didn't need that. I guess I could turn that off, but just hovering over this, you can see this with this little tooltip that pops up. We have 2 collision primitives. If you look a little bit down, I can't move my mouse over it, but collision primitives and LODs are 3. So that's good. That means things are showing up. This is okay. So yeah, I'm going to close that. Just double click an asset, and you'll go into the asset viewer. And I'm going to full screen that. With collision right here, I'm going to click, and then I'm going to do simple collision. And you can see the colliders we've set up are working. And if you see over here, the triangles currently are at 1362. Oh, also, see how we're flying around really quick with WASD controls? With your middle mouse button, you can scroll towards you while moving around and slow that down drastically. So now it's a little bit easier to control. So right here, we have 1362 tries. As we back out, now it's at 1022 and then immediately 742. So that's a little bit too quick of a LOD switch, and we can control that over here. We want to scroll down to auto compute LOD distance. Let's turn that off. And then with LOD picker, we're going to go to LOD 0. Open this up. It should be, or not open that up, it will be screen size, okay, right there. Screen size is 1.0. That's what we want for LOD 0. LOD 1, we want probably 50% screen size, or let's do 0.4. And then LOD 2, probably want 0.1 screen size. So when this is 1/10 of the screen size, it will be in its final LOD of LOD 2. So that should have updated. Oh, okay, so that's not going to change until you go to auto LOD, or LOD auto. Cool, so you can see the verts up there changing. So this is our farthest away LOD. As we get in closer, I'm going to turn off collision so you can maybe see. Probably not, but that's kind of the point. You're not really supposed to tell that it's LODing. Now we have the ridges there, and they kind of disappear about right here. So yeah, it holds up its shape the whole time, and that's what you want. The further away, you don't need all those vertices. You don't need it to be so expensive when you look at it. And when you get up close and you can see details, the player is going to want to see, all this nice detail we put in. So now let's bring in our textures and create a material. I'm going to close this editor window right here, and I'm going to highlight these and delete them because we want to make them or bring them in fresh. I'm going to select my material folder right here, and I'm going to right click and create new material. Let's name this mat_mace, and double click that, and that'll open up this. This is our material editor, or material graph. Make it a little bit bigger. And there's a ridiculous amount of things you can do in here. However, we need to bring in our textures first, so I will minimize this and drag in the textures right into this content browser. So just drag and drop. You might see some warnings or some alerts. It's just saying that it's detecting things that are normal maps, or it thinks that are normal maps, and it's going to treat them as a normal map. If you double click on it, you'll see it's just setting things differently. And naming conventions aren't critical, but for good practice, I'm going to close that, make that go away. I'm going to change these to T_Mace color and T_Mace normal, T_Mace AO metal roughness. You may notice I brought in a T normal flat and a T underscore black. This is to build our master material for, and then we'll make a material instance of our master to apply to our mace, and that's actually a lot more efficient, so we don't have to build shaders every time we make a little change. For our purposes here, it's not critical at all, but when working in a game, it's something you absolutely want to do. So double click on the mat. Actually, I'm going to rename this to mat underscore master. Then we'll double click this. I'll scale it down so you can see what's going on in terms of dragging and dropping. I'm going to drag in T underscore black and T underscore normal. And now we have to think about how we packed these. Remember, we have our AO metal and roughness packed into these channels, and then we have a color and a normal. So we need three, because we have three textures here, we need three textures present in here. So we're going to duplicate the black one. You don't have to do this. I'm just going to show you how to make a master. So Control D, or is it Control C, V? Yep. So this will be the color. Let's change this to a parameter. So I'm going to right click it, convert to parameter. You need to do that if you want to make a material instance. We'll call this color. If I can spell it right, color. And then this will be the AO metal roughness. And obviously this will be normal. But first, we need to change that other one to a parameter. Is it a parameter? Did I already do that? I did. Okay, cool. So we'll plug in the normal, the RGB of the normal into the normal right here. The colors RGB into base color. Move these out of the way a little bit, not that far. Make this wider. And then the roughness, the red channel is the AO. The green is the metal. And the blue is the roughness. I believe that's correct. Yes, I think so. We'll find out in a minute. Parameters are named correctly. We'll save that. And then we'll come back down in here to our content browser, right click mat master, make a material instance, create material instance. It will name this mat underscore mace, and then double click that. It should come in here, and then we'll see our inputs for the textures. So we want to turn on this, this, and this, and then we'll click this little name here. We'll grab the T, oh goodness, there's a lot there, T underscore mace. Did I name those correctly? Yes. AMR will be there. And then T underscore color, or mace color. Same deal here. T underscore mace normal. We're going to want to underscore there. And then save that. Minimize that. Let's go back to our geometry, double click. And in here we have a material slot. We're going to click that, or I guess click that. And then do mat underscore mace. There's that. Nope, I think we did that wrong. One moment. So it is green is your roughness. Where's rough? And blue is metal. Then hit save. Let that do its thing. Matte Mace, let's save that. There we go. Now it's shiny. And then we come in here and there we go. Cool. So what I need from you is your low poly mesh, your textures, and a screenshot. Well, not your low poly mesh. The mesh that we made with LODs, I want the mesh LODs, so the SM underscore mace that I drug in. And then I would like a screenshot of your editor, like this right here, with collision turned on. So simple collision right there, and just something like this. Grab a screenshot. I want to see the mace and these green boxes. Is there anything else? I don't think so. Have a good break, I suppose. If you need me, just message me. Actually, it just hit me. You might actually want to see what this looks like in Engine, huh? So go to your Geo. We've got SM Mace right here. Drag it in. Tap F to focus on it. We'll pull it up some, if I can find my cursor. And then we have physics on it, so let's make this a physical object. In your details panel, it'll be static by default. You should do that or change it to movable. And then physics, turn on simulate physics. And we can change our mass to something, I don't know, something kind of heavy, maybe 50 kilograms. That's probably way more than it would be in real life, but just to see it hit the ground or do a thud. Cool, and we saw it fall. And if we shoot it at it, it's probably gonna fly away. Yeah. Okay, so that works. And then you can hit escape. Everything will go back to where it was. Hit play again.